Thank you, Mr. President. You have described India right now as a tariff king. Can you explain it a bit later?
Well, India charges us tremendous tariffs. When we send Harley Davidsons, motorcycles, other things to India, they charge very, very high tariffs. And I've spoken to Prime Minister Modi, and he's going to reduce them very substantially. Nobody ever spoke to these people. He said, nobody ever spoke to me. In other words, we've had leaders here. I'm not, trying to be overly dramatic. We've had presidents of the United States and trade representatives. They never spoke to India. Brazil's another one. That's a beauty. They charge us whatever they want.
So
if you ask some of the companies, they say Brazil is among the toughest in the world, maybe the toughest in the world. We don't call them and say, hey, you're treating our companies unfairly. You're treating our country unfairly. So India is a very, very high, they really charge tremendously high tariffs. On motorcycles, it was 100%. So you send a motorcycle into India, there's a 100% tariff. Now that's so high that it's like a barrier. In other words, who's going to buy it? Costs you so much. Now they've already reduced that substantially, but it's still too high. My relationship with India is great, with Prime Minister Modi is great, and they're going to start doing a lot. They've called us to make a deal. We didn't even call them. They called us to make a deal, which is like shocking to people. Yes, sir, go ahead. Yes.
Well, there we go. I do have a second question on the Kavanaugh thing, when you get back to it, if you take that.
Let's go.
But you'll take that now?
No.
Okay. Well, the question I have
on
trade, does this mean the end of tariffs, if you could spell that out to Canada?
No.
So do you think it'll pass?
No. The steel is staying where it is, and aluminum. But it means we probably, for the most part, won't be having to use tariffs unless we're unable to make a deal with a country. For instance, if we can't make a deal with the European Union, we will respectfully put tariffs on the cars. The United States will take in billions and billions of dollars into its coffers. Isn't that nice? Because you don't hear that.
Only from Carl Sagan.
Okay, yes, Sagan. But it'll take in billions and billions of dollars. But really what's going to happen is they'll make the cars in the United States. This way they don't have to pay the 25 or the 20% tax.
And could you spell
So I don't think you're going to have to use the tariffs too often, but there will be cases where you have countries that are just absolutely not willing to do what's fair and reciprocal, and in that case, they'll pay tariffs. And you know what? The United States will do very well. Either way, we do very well.
So do you think it'll pass in Canada, Mexico, and more importantly,
I don't know.
here in the United States?
I can't tell you. All I know is we made a deal. The highly respected presidents, and in the case of Canada, the Prime Minister, are satisfied with the deal. It's good for Canada, good for Mexico. It's good for all three. This is a deal. I'm not touting it. This is good for all three. That's good. And just that fact makes it good for us. But this is good for all three. But this is a much different deal than NAFTA. And this is much more of a reciprocal deal for the United States, which is really good. Yeah, go ahead, Peter.
Are you okay on trade? We're going to move on to Kavanaugh briefly for the purposes of this?
No, why don't you just, we'll do the Kavanaugh questions. I mean, you talk about being treated harshly. We'll do that in a couple of, let's finish up trade because you have a lot of people that want to run over to the Wall Street Journal and start writing. Go ahead, please.
Can you take one from the Mexican journalist?
I can't hear you.
Can you take one from the Mexican journalist?
A Mexican journalist? Go ahead.
Yes.
Sure.
So you're going to keep the tariffs on steel and aluminum on Mexico and Canada?
Until such time as we can do something that would be different, like quotas, perhaps, so that our industry is protected. We are not going to allow our steel industry to disappear. It was almost gone. I'll tell you what, if our country kept going the way it was going, within 2 years you wouldn't have had a steel industry. We have to have a steel industry. We have to have an aluminum. You know, there are certain industries important. So we are working on that now. That wasn't part of this. But we will do something. And in fact, Bob, if you want, you may want to say a couple of words about that because we were literally talking about that 1 hour ago.
Yes, great. Thank you, Mr. President. I guess I would say, first of all, there are two separate things as far as we're concerned. We know that they're of grave interest to both countries. We are engaging in talks now with an effort to try to preserve the effect of our program and still take care of their needs. And hopefully we'll be able to work that out. But we are in communication with them.
And really take care of the needs of our steel companies. I don't want plants closing. They're hiring thousands of workers all over the country. I'm not giving that up.
But you get the assurances of President-elect López Obrador
Yeah,
that he's
yeah.
going to keep his word on this trade.
Oh yeah, we have a very good understanding. Yeah.